Alright, this video is for exam 2, page 4, section 1, and we'll be starting right now. Use the graph of f of t to sketch the graph f prime of t and f double prime of t, then answer part B. Alright, now here is our f of t graph. So what we want to do is graph f prime of t, and the way we'll do it is to see where our graph is going to be increasing, and that'll dictate if it's going to be positive or negative, and see where it stops increasing and or decreasing. I don't know why I said and, but yes. So in this case, our graph is going to be positive until -6. So in that case, our point will be -6. And then there's another one at -2. So we're going to put in point at -2 for n. And then there's one final one at +2. So we're going to put one also right there. So our graph is going to look like this. Our graph is increasing, so it'll be positive until -6, at which point it starts to decrease, and so it'll be going down all the way to -2. But then it'll continue to decrease. Well, it did stop decreasing at -2. It started decreasing again. So instead of going back upwards, we're gonna instead do. Let me try to rewrite this so it looks better. And so like that, and then at 2 the graph starts increasing again, so it'll be the graph will be on the positive side, and so we have our graph for f prime of t. And the same idea works for f double prime of t. We'll look at our graph and see that our graph is going to be negative until around about, we're between -6 and -2, so we'll say about -4 is our absolute minimum, and so as well as in 0 for this case, and -2 in this case. So our points are going to be -4, -2, 2, and 0. So our graph is going to be negative until 4, and it's going to be positive until -2, and at that point it'll be negative again until 0, and then it'll be positive for the rest of the graph. And so now we have our graph for f double prime of t. And so now we move on to the second part. Alright, so for part B, the first part is to see in which intervals is f of t decreasing. And the easiest way to see that is see when f prime of t is less than 0. So between -6 and 2 and plus -2 to 2, our graph is decreasing. So we're gonna make it -6, comma, -2, union, -2, 2. And that's how we're going to write to show which intervals it's decreasing. The next one is asking us is where it's concave up. And the easiest way to see this is with our graph right here and see where it's positive at f double prime of t. So from -4 to 2 and from 0 to infinity, our values are positive. So in that case, we'll put -4 comma -2 union 0 comma infinity to show our concave up on the interval, those intervals. And the last one is the trickiest one, which is to see where on the interval, well, the graph is slowing down. So now for this part of the equation, you are going to want a few different things. So for this part of the equation, what you're going to want is f prime of x and f double prime of x and put this in a number line. So we're going to put this under a number line and we're going to space them out evenly, so in increments of 2, so we can show the correct interval of it slowing down. So right here, -6, around here, -4, around here, -2, around here, 0, and around here, 2. And after we do this, we're going to show in which of these the value is positive or negative. So from here to here. So this is going to be positive since we show that it's this decreasing part. So from -6 to -2 is decreasing, and from -2 to 2 it's also decreasing, which means these other two must be increasing. And for f double prime of x, our concave up seems to be, let's see, we also have -2 in this case. They seem to be from -4 to 2, so right here is positive, and from 0 to infinity is also positive, so these two must be negative. And so we're going to draw these lines to see where in the interval these signs match and which ones they don't match. They're opposites. So as we can see here, some of them are the same and some of them are opposite. So what I'm gonna do is, hold on a second. Seems to be wrong, this part. I think because I wrote the dotted line, so this part is negative. Alright, so we want to see slowing down, so the signs have to be opposite. So from here to here, sign is opposite, so we're going to put O for up. So we're going to write O for opposite. And these ones, they're the same, so we're going to put S for same. And so we're going to continue on with this. So as we could see on the intervals that we want opposite, that's where our intervals this graph is going to be on. So from negative infinity to -6 union -4 to -2 union, and finally from 0 to 2, our graph is going to be slowing down for f of t. And that is all for this page, and that is going to be the end of it. Alright, until next time.